Good morning and happy Monday.
Don't you think we're better together? Oh, I think we are.
It is the time to pack your bags because we're going on a trip.
Yeah, we are. Actually, when you watch this video, we're going to be getting ready to go on an airplane and fly somewhere.
Yeah, and flying with medically complex people can be kind of complex. So this time around, I decided to make myself a list of all the things I needed to pack. I went through all of my systems, like my feeding tube stuff and my medical stuff and my blood sugar stuff, like all my different categories in my head, and I listed it all out. I've never done that before.
Like actually listed it, or?
Yeah, for packing or anything. I've just never, I don't know. I've never needed to do that. I just kind of go through it in my head.
Yeah.
But I think I've realized over the last couple of years, as more and more has been added to my medical
routines.
Yeah. I realized, okay, I need to really have it written out so I know what I need to pack. So the other thing I did was whenever I get like my shipment of IVIG supplies or feeding tube supplies, sometimes they pack them in plastic Ziploc bags, and they'll have like one thing in a bag, and the bag is perfectly fine. So I keep these bags and then I use them when I'm packing. So I think the best way for me to pack is to imagine I'm at the airport and the zipper breaks and everything falls out. I need to be able to put it all back in. But in reality, I'm really thinking about when they're sorting through my bag, like checking for whatever they need to check for. I know they're gonna pull everything out, and so I want everything like self-contained so my medical stuff isn't touching the dirty surfaces or whatever at the airport. So with that in mind, I have put almost everything in Ziploc bags. So basically I went through and I thought through everything I need for my feeding tube. And the way that I do dosing is how many days I'm gonna be gone, get that appropriate amount, and then add a few days extra. Just in case we get trapped in the airport or I spill something or something breaks and I need an extra. So I went through and thought through how many packages of gauze do I need, how many pieces of tape do I need, that sort of thing. And I got all that I need plus more so that I'll be prepared. I went through and counted how many
feeding tube bags
do I need. My team always tells me whenever I travel, bring an extra feeding tube button. That's the actual mechanism that's in my abdomen for my feeding tube. So that if something were to happen, if it were to get ripped out or whatever, and I need to go to the ER and have it replaced, I have the correct size, the correct everything that I need. So I always travel with an extra feeding tube. And so that would take some planning. My home care company always has an extra, sends me an extra so that I always have one on hand. So that's what I'm going to bring. But I guess that's something you can think through. If you don't currently have an extra, you can ask your home care company ahead of time. My enzyme cartridges, thought through how many I'd need, added a few extra. And then I'm going to think through if I'll probably bring a few more cartons of formula. But for now I have that many in there. And then also think through any syringes you need for the balloon part, for pressing medicine in, extra extensions, really just think through everything that you might need that you can't just go to the pharmacy and pick up if you forgot. Because a lot of this, red Solo cups are replaceable, but I can't really just go out and be like, oh, I'd like to get a 1.7 centimeter mini button, please. That doesn't work. So, thought through all of my feeding tube supplies. What's next? I guess I thought through all of my daily medications that I need, and everybody's gonna do it differently as far as if you're flying international, the rules might be different. If you're flying domestically, all of those things, you decide for yourself whether you feel comfortable flying with your medicines in comblers, as I call it, in pill cases, or if you feel like you need to have them in the bottles with the labels. Personally, I fly with my weekly stash, in my comblers if that's as long as I'm going to be gone. I do think sometimes I have flown with the full bottles, but for this trip I'm just taking my weekly comblers, and then any emergency meds that I might need, I'm keeping those in the bottles. Any liquid medicines definitely have in plastic. And then other emergency type things, well, Zofran, that's not an emergency.
Well, sort of.
Sort of. Bring yourself a thermometer, and I don't know, I'm just bringing anything that I know I might need. So obviously red Solo cups for airway clearance, my neti pot for my nose. I always bring this plastic cup because that's how I heat it up. I use this cup and have the bottle sit inside with hot water so that it heats the saline solution up for my nose. So that's how I did that. And then the saline packets and my other medication I put in it in a separate package. Other emergency items like glucagon, EpiPen, glucose gel, that sort of thing. And then I've got my Dexcom items that I'm going to need, and I'll have my glucometer with me. Now, I will say this, with this whole pile stacked around me, if I was on IV antibiotics, it would be this times about 4 times as much. Thankfully, I'm doing IVIG right before I leave, so I don't need to bring port supplies. I have flown with... Have I flown on IV antibiotics? I'm sure I have.
That's a good question. I'm sure you have, but...
I'm sure I have, which any medical stuff is obviously allowed to fly. Yes, my feeding tube is liquid, but it's allowed to fly because it's medical. They just do this swipey thing on it to make sure it's not, like, crazy or whatever. I don't know if I was allowed to say explosive. Any medical equipment flies for free.
So what Mary does is she packs all of this stuff in a single suitcase and keeps it separate so that, like the airline we're flying, we have to pay for our bags, but so we're just packing her medical stuff in this bag because that flies for free, and then all of our clothes in another bag.
Yeah, I was just checking my list to see if I forgot anything.
Chargers,
so important.
Yeah.
I have forgotten those before. And it is a real bummer.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, it took energy for me to, like, sit down and really think through everything I might need. But I think it'll be worth it, not only for this trip, but future trips, to have my list. And also, I guess it would be beneficial to have that list for, like, if I was ever not able to pack and you had to pack for me or something.
Yeah, true.
Then you could look at the list.
Yeah.
But then I will also pack stuff for Oliver because he's my service dog. I will be I believe I'm going to put his things in my medical bag as well so that we have everything like medical related all in one place.
Yep.
And then for our normal, okay, so I'm going to put this all back in, and because it's all in Ziplocs, it's going to be easy. But for our normal bag...
Now...
Oh,
yeah, before we get to the normal bag, you also have your vest and nebulizer that we're thinking we might actually scrap this small suitcase and put all of that into a larger suitcase. But
and then that's a good point. I assume you were thinking whether you check your medical stuff or you carry it on. Again, that's a personal preference. We're going to do kind of half and half. I'm definitely going to carry on my weekly medicines just so that if something were to happen to this bag and it would take 24 hours to get it back or something like that, I would have my medications that I absolutely need. It's kind of impossible to carry everything on because I'm going to have my vest, my nebulizer, all my nebulizer stuff.
And for us, we also think through, like, we've got to get through the airport and with all our stuff, so if we were to carry on all the medical stuff, it would make getting through the airport very difficult. So we also factor that in.
Right. So, yeah, so like I said, we're probably going to do a little bit of half and half. Pack into a big suitcase a lot of my medical stuff and then carry some of it on. Of course, I'll have my feeding tube attached to me and all that. But, so for our... regular bag, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say if you had any tips for your refrigerated medications.
I think I'm just going to pack them with a small ice pack.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because my medicines come with ice packs every 3 weeks. So I've got plenty of those.
And I was going to say a good thing to keep from the home care company, if they send your medications in these, is those like bubble mailers that are they look like tinfoil or
like
aluminum. So those are good
Yeah.
to have to pack things in that need to stay cool.
Stay cool. Go far.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, normal
so
stuff. Clothes.
This is our first time doing this. I forget where I saw this idea. It's not my idea. But you get one of these, which I got.
That's a closet shoe organizer, right?
Yes. And I'm going to pack into it. So basically I'm going to hang this up, pack into it, and then once I have all my clothes in there, I'm going to put it back down, which obviously it'll be, you know, kind of full of stuff. So it'll be bulkier. But then you put that into your suitcase, and then when you get to your destination, you pull it out, and all your clothes are ready for you.
Because we all know the struggle of all your stuff's in a suitcase, and you're like digging through, and by like day 1, it's all a mess.
Yeah.
So those are some good tips, Mare.
Okay, so I guess our main tips are put things in baggies so that if your zipper breaks and everything falls out, it's easy to put back in. Think through the categories of all the different things you'll need.
Yep.
And do your best.
Yeah. Chances are you might forget something.
Probably
but
will.
Going through the lists and trying to be prepared is all you can do. And so
Yeah, you
tune in tomorrow to see where our destination is, and it's going to be a fun week. So I hope you guys will come along. And as always, we will see you tomorrow. Good night.
Don't you think we're
Say good night to the people.
Good night.